Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm Lucas and welcome back to another League Racing video on the channel. Today we have, I believe it is WOR Round 1, which took place, oh my goodness, a long time ago now when I'm recording this. But yeah, so when I was doing the pre-season League races ahead of F1 Esports, obviously I had PSGL, but I also have WOR that I was doing. And this was Round 1 at Austria. And yeah, we've got sort of the usual suspects, a lot of the F1 Esports drivers involved. And yeah, I don't really know what how else to introduce it, but let's just get cracking. So we're jumping on board now for the first run of Q1. I believe I must have done an attempt before this, where I bailed out the lap, as you can see, because my delta's quite a lot up. But yeah, clean entry and exit through turn 3 as it actually is, heading now down to turn 4, people setting faster laps. And yeah, a bit of understeer mid-corner there, going through turn 5, and now widening our way to the high-speed middle sector, turning in just after the 50-metre board, not really getting the car into the corner on the entry, holding 6th gear, again a bit more understeer at high speed, I've noticed on this lap so far, but it is Q1, so naturally we will not have the most grip that we'll have in the session, not really aiming for the first part of the apex, clipping the corner a bit later on the penultimate corner, getting through the last corner and setting the fastest lap of the session. And I mean, I wasn't quite happy with the lap in the moment, however I believe it was good enough to go through in one run, which was excellent because it meant we could save a set of tyres for Q2 or 3. So heading on now to the first run of Q2. And I've got like all the laps sort of lined up next to each other, so you can sort of see the progression as we go through qualifying and we go through the sessions and how things sort of ramp up on themselves. So heading through turn 1 now, a couple of hundreds up on the delta, heading now down to what is actually a really tricky braking zone, opening the corner up, mounting the curb on the left hand side, 4th gear for the hairpin, using a little bit of exit curb, which you would need to be really careful not to do too much of because you can easily lose the rear if you apply the traction in the wrong way. Again, opening up the entry to turn 4 downhill, the circuit sort of falls away from you, using all the road in the exit just to try and, you know, release out the corner as best as possible. Getting the car in a lot better now compared to Q1, making the apex a lot nicer. Still not quite getting the car all the way in, with a big correction in the middle of the corner, but the crucial thing was getting the drive out the corner, getting the power down. So we are hustling it a bit at the moment. 7th gear this time. And then down to 5th, turning in a little bit too early, could be 100% committed, and as you can see that was slower than what we've done in Q1, so not a very good lap at this point, as you can hear me complaining as always after the lap, so I was not happy with that one. But now on to the final run, I believe, of Q2. As you can see, we've still got about 3 minutes left on the clock, and that is so that we can bail out the lap if we need to, basically. But I believe this is the first and only attempt I will do in Q2. Still P2 on the leaderboard, just to with P1, braking just past 100 metres, 4th gear once again. How do we get the exit this time? A little bit straighter, and you can see the result of that, gaining a crucial couple of hundreds there, because we managed to get the corner straighter at the exit. Braking just past the 100 metre. How do we get on through turn 4? I believe we're half a tenth up now as we wind to the middle sector. Are we going to suffer with that same understeer? Holding 6th gear, keeping quite a neutral line all the way through. Do we get the car into the corner this time? Yes, we do. No snap on the exit, and as you can see, the delta now starts to increase that a little bit. Now heading to the final 2 corners. Such a tricky section. Dropping it to 6th, then back up to 7th. Bit more committed on the entry this time, and as you can see, there is the lap time as a result, and that puts us P1, I believe, for Q2. So yeah, through to Q3 now. 2 brand new sets of tyres available to us, and yeah, this is where things start to get a bit more, but crunch time now, basically. So yeah. Heading into turn 1 now for the first run of Q2, and as you can see, we have to bail out of that lap. So just an example of how difficult that actually is to nail these corners, because obviously all I'm showing at the moment is the attempts that, you know, the main laps that we do, but it is very hard to actually nail all these sections together. So getting through clean this time, through turn 1, heading through what is technically turn 2, even though it doesn't exist in an F1 car, into the hairpin of turn 3, getting into the apex very early, not running too wide, getting a straight exit, and then DRS open, as we now head down to turn 4 once again. How do we get on the brakes? Just nicely blended through there, no big drama, as we wind our way now to the middle sector. Getting a nice exit there, it seems, correcting the car slightly. Do we get the car in? Yes, we do, but the front end started to wash itself back out as we got to the middle of the apex through that previous corner. How do we get on? Just not 100% committed, a bit hesitant, and then a correction on the steering on the entry in the final section, which cost us, I think, a better chance of a solid lap. But now, final run, and this is the last attempt we've got. I believe this was like the first attempt at the lap, but I didn't actually have time to do another go after this. So this was my one and only shot at the end of Q3. And I know I've got time in the lap. I just need to try and hook it up now for that final time. Coming through the hairpin though, we are slightly down on our previous lap, so we've got a bit of work to do as we head towards the second phase of the lap, breaking downhill once again. How do we get this corner? Do we improve on the time before? A bit more committed on the front, pushing the car a bit more through the corner. Again, a crucial tiny bit of lap time, but how do we get on through here? Using a bit of curb on the inside, gaining a crucial tiny margins we're gaining. The car doesn't wash as much on the front this time though, and we do gain a couple of hundreds, but we need a bit more than that to try and fight for pole position. So how committed are we going to be in the final couple of corners? A bit more committed than last time, that's for certain. Not making any double corrections on the steering as we go through the last corner. DRS open, delta up, but it's not enough.
Close. Yeah, close. Nice effort though. Nice effort.
Tried, but we just didn't get a good enough final run. GG bye.
So yeah, that is our Q3. Starting P2 right behind our teammate Barry, who done a really good lap, and I believe he had a very strong final sector, so GG to him. Man, just an absolute monster in general. So it is a McLaren 1-2
if you can hear me correctly.
on the grid. And yeah, lining up now as we had formation lap back in the day. We don't have this, and I've not done a formation lap as of recent with F1 Esports, but yeah, lining up on the grid now. We have Nicholas Longay right behind us, Jake Benham in P4, and Thomas Ruana rounding out the top 5. And yeah, now the build up to the race begins. Everybody readies up, and we get the 5 red lights on your screen. Audio stuttering a bit, which thankfully isn't an issue anymore, but lights are out, away we are off. And we get a clean getaway, slot straight in behind Barry to try and just get the best exit out of T1 as possible, and then deploying the battery, and that is us away cleanly. So, you know, step 1 of the race, you know, getting away cleanly has been, you know, ticked off, and yeah, now it's just about trying to find rhythm, go with Barry, try and, you know, not get attacked from behind, and yeah, just getting into a rhythm now. So we have Jarno Opmir now actually up to P5 as well, so Thomas Rana losing a position at the very beginning of this race.
The audio is atrocious.
You can hear me complaining about the audio on the corner exits. It's quite hard to determine how you're actually getting on the power with these issues. But yeah, heading through the middle sector for the first time of 36 of times that we'll be doing it in this race. Quite a lot of laps in the Austrian race. As we round our way through the final section of the lap, following Barry quite nicely as we have a 6/10 gap to the car behind. So now we can just focus on settling into a rhythm, managing our battery as we want, managing our tyres and getting a feeling. So skipping on to lap 4 now, the race is just sort of progressing on now, and we decide, because we've got a gap behind as well, so I decide to try and overtake Barry so that we don't, you know, without losing too much time. But I didn't have a very good hairpin, which kind of defeated the efforts a little bit. But yeah, tried to lose as little time as possible in the midst of doing all of that. But heading on to lap 6 now, we're still in the lead. We've got our teammate Barry right behind us. But if you look in the rear view mirror now, I believe Nico tries to make a move for P2, and then the 2 cars behind, Barry and Nico, actually made contact going into turn 4. So unfortunately, I think that sent Barry into like a half spin from memory. I can't remember like whose fault and all that sort of thing, but I'm not trying to go into that side of it. But from what I remember, I believe it was a half spin for Barry as a result of that collision. But moving on into this race,
Yeah, Nico hit Barry.
we have a 1.3 second gap to the car behind, but realistically, we are not gonna.
Just took a warning track limit.
We're not gonna get away from that. So my intention wasn't just to blast the battery to try and sort of escape from that, because I knew Nico would probably just blast it to get in. So Nico got back into DRS as we pick up a track limit warning, and Nicholas is now in the box on lap 18. So now we're moving on to lap 19, and I believe we will probably retaliate at the end of this lap to box for a set of the medium tyre.
You know where is he coming out?
Just leave me to it, mate.
So I believe we...
Box this lap.
Yeah, boxing this lap, as you can hear me confirm to our engineer Anton. Jake Benham, now the car behind. Barry, our teammate, second the fastest lap of the race, as I believe he made an earlier undercut to sort of make up the ground that he, lost due to, the contact earlier on. So, yeah, now it's just not really using mass amounts of ERS, because at the end of the day, I think we were sort of...
I reckon Jake will go a bit longer.
And as you can hear, we're talking about Jake
He'll
going
go
longer,
for the
but I
tyre
reckon at this
advantage,
point we
both
sort of knew
Mercedes.
that
Yeah, box.
Nicholas was going to get past, so we weren't too worried about sort of blasting the battery in order to save ourselves, if that makes sense. So heading now down into the pit lane. Quite a challenging pit entry, this one, quite easy to get it wrong if you're not too careful. But yeah, lap 19 now, into the box and putting on a set of medium tyres. And I believe we will come out behind Nicholas, but the crucial thing is that we have...
Audio is so bad, man.
As you can hear us complaining about the audio issues because it was quite severe in this race. But the good thing for us is we would have the fresher tyres. So even if we rejoined right behind Nicholas, which I believe we'll literally do side by side right now, we would have the battery in our favour, which was perfect. So we just sort of slotted ourselves in nicely behind, throw a little fake dummy to the inside, and yeah, now we just need to focus on actually staying with Nicholas while our tyres get up to temperature, and then we can sort of manage it from there. So lap 20 of 36 now. Still a lot of cars actually to make a pit stop. Barry Berman, our teammate, right behind us, 2 seconds back. Unfortunately for him, he has older tyres, so it's a bit harder for him to make an impact from this sort of stage of the stint onwards. But yeah, moving on now, we are just sort of pushing on. Jake now boxing on lap 20. But yeah, as you can see, we're just pushing on to try and keep with Nicholas as this race sort of progresses. But our tyres are starting to come in now as they pick up temperature. And that
DRS on Nico.
that is that. So
45.
we got our DRS, we got information from Anton, our engineer, on the ERS of
the
Nicholas in
DRS,
front.
but it's
So
on
that gave us, the information of how we need to spend our energy and how we need to charge relative to the car ahead. So we set the fastest lap of the race now, heading on to lap 22. As you can see, a lot of cars making a pit stop there, including Thomas and Yarrow. And I believe only one car now remains to make a pit stop, which is Alessio De Capua. So, yeah, up to P3 now on the road, P2 technically, and we are just trying to manage the race accordingly at this point. We're just trying to manage our battery, manage our tyres, I believe, while following Nicholas, who has the older tyres. But as you can see, Nicholas tries to actually get ahead of Alessio into the middle sector so that we could get stuck behind Alessio, but thankfully we managed to make the move on Alessio when he didn't fight it too hard. So we just slotted straight back in where we were, and yeah, we just continued to manage the race from this point onwards. But as you can also see, while I was sitting behind Nicholas, Jake Benham, who had the freshest tyres of everybody, he is in P3 and the gap is only 2 seconds, so technically I couldn't really mess around far too much while I was behind Nicholas, because if I waited too long and sort of went with a different pace, then Jake could have actually come into threat for the win. As you can see, diving up the inside now for the lead of the race of Nicholas Longy, and yeah, just trying to get past with minimum energy, going side by side all the way through turn 3 and turn 4, but we get the move done as we head through the exit of turn 4 now on lap 29. And yeah, into the lead now with Nico right behind us, and then Jake and Co in P3 and etc. basically. But yeah, on to lap 30 now. Now this is a critical moment of the race. As you can see, I've pulled a bit of a gap to Nico, and I'm just sort of waiting for the eventual pin drop where we all have to go for it. However, Nicholas now just drops randomly out of DRS, and that was, as you can, I don't know if you just heard my engineer mention, Anton, but that was because of a screen freeze. So Nicholas lost the DRS.
That's unfortunate.
As you can see, as you can hear me say, that was unfortunate because it was like Nico was just chilling in the DRS and the game froze and it dropped him out. But at this point, now I knew, you know, I'd been handed a stroke of fortune, which made my life a lot easier to try and win this race. So all I had to do now was stay out of the, keep the cars behind out of DRS, use my battery, use my tyres, and just be smart. So 3 laps remaining now to the end of this race. Jake with 35% energy now, as we're getting told by our engineer, and he now passes Nicholas into P2. And yeah, we just had to be wary of this because he had slightly more energy, a lap fresher tyres, and we were a little bit worried at how that would play out going into the final few laps, but we actually managed to keep the gap steady. And as you can see, it's lap 36 of 36. We are in P1. We've got 2 more corners to negotiate before we take the win of the opening race of the season for WOR F1.
Yeah, boy! Yes!
Go on, legend.
Yes! Let's go! Whew.
Vamos.
Whew. That was a stressful. Ah, my game crashed!
No!
My game crashed! I got across the line. I got across the line. The game crashed. The game crashed. I'll show you guys. My f***ing game crashed. Oh.
So thank you very much everybody for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed some, you know, more league racing content on the channel today with WRF1 round 1 at Austria. And yeah, if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe for more, as I'll try and keep some league racing videos from the pre-season flowing on the channel. But yeah, until next time, have a great rest of your day everybody. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Love y'all, take care, ciao.